We're in the positive behavior changing business, and that's hard. And we need this product to be with our coaches and members everywhere they go, frankly, in order to do a good job with that. So in addition to their wearable devices, which are collecting data, we need to be there with them as well. So the more reliable, the faster these devices can collect and transmit data, the better that we can be at those kind of motivational and behavior changing experiences.
Welcome to The Restless Ones. I'm Jonathan Strickland. I've spent more than a decade really learning about technology, what makes it tick, and then describing and explaining that to my audience. But it's the conversations with the world's most unconventional thinkers, the leaders at the intersection of technology and business, that fascinate me the most. In partnership with T-Mobile for Business, I explore the unique set of challenges that CIOs and CTOs face, from advancements in cloud and edge computing, software as a service, Internet of Things, and, of course, 5G. We are often left wondering how the leading minds in business continue to thrive. Let's find out. Our guest today is Yvette Pasqua, Chief Technology Officer of Exos. Exos calls itself the Human Performance Company, and it focuses on delivering products for athletes, coaches, and other customers to maximize their results when they seek to improve their health, fitness, and athletic performance. The company uses data to refine approaches, correct mistakes, and give customers the boost they need to achieve their goals, even if those goals involve reaching Olympic-level expertise. Yvette joined as Exos' Chief Technology Officer in 2020. You might think joining a company focused on fitness and performance during a pandemic would be challenging. You'd be right. But Yvette is not the type to shy away from a challenge. She meets them eagerly. We sat down to talk about her background and perspective on tech. Yvette, thank you so much for joining us on The Restless Ones. It's truly a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I'm excited to chat with you.
Well, one thing I love to do at the very top is just get a little more background on the people I'm speaking with, kind of understand where they're coming from, their perspectives on things. And I love to start off by just asking, how did you first get interested in technology and then in software in particular?
Yeah. Other than being a kid and writing some basic programs in my dork camp that I went to for many, many summers, which I loved, the first real thing I did was learn how to build websites in my college dorm room. And I just really fell in love and really got obsessed with the ability to just make things that anyone, anywhere could see way back then in the mid-90s. It was really new, that fast feedback loop between hitting save when I wrote some code and seeing the thing I made live and my friends being able to see it. It felt like magic at the time. So that's how I first got into it and fell in love with that feeling.
So this is like the good old days where you would be typing up an HTML markup language in a text editor, and then you would save it and upload it to a server and then open up the browser.
Yep, and you'd view it in Netscape Navigator, right? So that was the good old days for sure. And now I'm dating myself, but that's totally okay.
Well, when did you decide to actually pursue tech as a career, and what was your experience like doing that?
I was actually pre-med in college, even though I loved to build websites in my dorm room. I had a couple of part-time jobs that I actually got paid to build websites and do desktop support during college and loved it. But I was pre-med and took the MCATs and loved science. I took a year off and I talked my way into a job as a software consultant in 1998. And I was doing Y2K testing for Ernst & Young's payroll and HR system, but I loved it. I loved writing code. I loved collaborating with folks. I loved seeing my work out there. And I did that for about a year and I loved it so much. I kind of never looked back, and I decided not to go to med school after taking that year off. I took a life off, and I couldn't see myself kind of going back to school and giving up the software side of things. So that's how I got into it.
That's incredible. Like, this love sort of began while you're going to what you describe as a dork camp, but I like to think of as Camp Awesome, and then and then blossoming into continued interest in college, and then turning into a career. One other thing that I thought was interesting is that your career really coincides with some major transformational changes in technology in general. I mean, you and I come from an era where the personal computer was just becoming a thing as we were young, right? And it was that desktop experience. Everything was local. We then started seeing things like BBSs and the birth of the internet. But you've seen things like the rise of software as a service, which was, a truly disruptive idea that went from software is something that lives on the machine in front of you to software is something that now is an ongoing service provided. What changes have you sort of observed as you've progressed through your career? What do you think are some of the really big tentpole things in tech?
I'm still so surprised when I look back 20 plus years and today, how fast everything can happen now. Whether you're talking about fast learning, fast iteration, fast releasing to production, right? Fast downloading data to your phone, fast installing an app on your phone over your phone's internet. Everything is just so much faster, and it lets folks in my field, frankly, just like build better and better and better things. Being able to buy almost anything my team needs to build our product is so different than 20-something years ago, where you're literally writing code to do all that stuff, and it's taking you 6 months just to get the plumbing in place before you're actually building the customer experiences. But, especially smaller teams going from 0 to 1 that I've done a little bit recently. But when I was the CTO at Meetup, even going from 25 to 50 million members when I was there was essentially the same thing. Being able to buy most of that plumbing, buying features too that you want to ship to your customers has been, just so amazing. Almost everything is commoditized now. Even building features that are standard like login or chat or really any features you want to cobble together to create a great customer experience. And then the awesome part is you can do that really fast, but then you can refine it. You launch, you get data right away, you can iterate that day, and you can launch multiple times a day to production and just make things better over time. So I'm just always so grateful and in awe of how quickly every part of the product development process can happen these days.
And it's wild. You and I started our careers right when cloud computing was just starting to become something that dominates the tech industry today. And this idea of these bits and pieces that you can take and use as parts of your foundation, it really speaks to sort of the hacker ethos as well, this idea of seeing how things work and then tweaking them so that they work in a different way, a way perhaps that wasn't necessarily intended at first, but then can create something entirely new.
Yeah, just being able to take any of the technologies out there and, like you're saying, tweak that customer experience in a way that's different or just awesome or that customers love or drive value. That's what gets me most excited these days, just figuring out how can we make customers feel great and feel like what they're doing is helping their lives, really driving real human and real life value for them, using technology and all those things you can cobble together and tweak for sure.
Well, shifting a little bit, when did you join Exos?
Yeah, so it seems like yesterday, but I joined last September. I guess we've all been cooped up this year, so the year has flown. But it's been almost a year now, and it's been a great ride so far.
And I imagine that must have been interesting obviously 2020 was such a tumultuous year. What was it like coming into an organization during a year like that? Was that organization already in sort of a transformational period?
Oh yeah, so much, right? So for over 20 years, Exos has been training everyone from elite athletes to employees at about a quarter of the Fortune 100 companies around the world. We have hundreds of corporate wellness and fitness centers that we run. And none of those were open when I joined in September of last year, or very few of them. So I joined right as the company was in both a middle of a transformation to make sure that we could provide virtual coaching services over technology. And the team had very quickly launched a couple of products in 2 or 3 months, as well as figuring out how to navigate the waters of having to close all of our physical facilities. We still had some folks trickling in, but I've seen both closing down, but also reopening. This year has been a big year of reopening, and a lot of our clients are reopening faster than we thought. Some of them are reopening slower than they thought. It's very specific to regions and our clients' workforces. Our performance institutes have been going strong, pretty much all year. The elite athletes are all back. I've been really fortunate, I think, to see a lot about the business uncovered in the last year I've been here.
Yeah, it sounds that's more than being thrown into the deep end. I mean, the adaptability and flexibility must have been like top of the list of things that you needed to have close at hand whenever dealing on just a day-to-day basis.
Definitely.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently, so you can focus on what matters most. Where some see another small town, we see businesses in need of connectivity. So we built the largest 5G network to cover cities, towns, and the most interstate miles in between. Where some see a caller in a queue, we see an opportunity for our experts to provide solutions without transfers. Where some see another virtual meeting, we see 5G enabling wireless, real-time translations almost anywhere you do business. Our unique approach has made us the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes first-class benefits like 5G in every plan. So you get it all without trade-offs. Unconventional thinking is better for business. T-Mobile for Business. Open Signal awards T-Mobile as America's fastest 5G network USA. 5G user experience report July 2021. Capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com. For JD Power 2020 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
I hit it off with Yvette right away and wanted to learn more about her views about the role of leadership and what one should focus on in order to be a successful and effective leader. And I'm really curious about how your past experiences have shaped your leadership philosophy. Can you sort of sum up how you view the role of leadership and your approach to it?
Sure. To be honest, I always start by thinking about how much I've learned. I've learned from so many people I've worked with. I've learned from so many mistakes, some really big failures that I've made. One of the values at Exos that's been core for the last 20 years, we call continuous improvement. In the tech industry, it's often called growth mindset. Jeff Bezos famously talks about failing fast, and to me, that's really just been a foundation of what motivates me and gets me excited and the cultures that I want to build. And I think, that foundation really sets the stage for so many other just kind of positive team culture and practices, eventually to products that customers love. One of the practices is just constant iteration, like constantly going hard at learning what's not working and trying to make things better and better, both small improvements, but also that's kind of how you make the bigger leaps as well. So that really grounds me from a leadership philosophy perspective.
Well, and I think you just touched on something that I was going to ask about next, but what do you think is the biggest challenge for someone in your role?
Yeah, I mean, similar to how I think like real estate folks say location, 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 right? I still come down fundamentally to communication, especially communication across to other teams, other functions, really thinking of my exec team as my first team and the communication and the understanding and the trust that needs to be built there. When you have that, the teams below you can communicate well and function well. It's the only other thing I'd mention about skills is just I'm a huge operator. I think it's really important to be able to run an efficient operation and being able to focus on both the vision, strategy, communication, but also to be able to execute and operate on that, especially in the tech world. You need both of those things. If you don't do both, you might talk a great game and not execute. And if you can only execute and not inspire people and set vision and strategy, your long-term growth is really going to be hindered. So I'm constantly just trying to get better in both those areas.
Well, it's nice to hear someone talk about long-term growth too, because
Yeah.
frequently it's that next quarter or next financial year that you're hearing about. Maybe you'll hear about someone do a 2-year or 3-year plan. And obviously in tech, that can be challenging anyway because the landscape changes so quickly. But having this sort of strategic vision from a business perspective is so valuable and so nice to hear, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners have had an experience of working with an organization where there was this pervading sense that no one really knows what's coming down the line, and it just creates this sense of trepidation and anxiety. And it's really hard to motivate people in that respect. I imagine that a big challenge of being a CTO is developing different communication styles so that you can communicate effectively with different audiences.
Definitely. I have to kind of switch on the different sales modes, right? And not sales in a bad way, but really just storytelling and kind of authentically selling your vision and what you know and what you've talked about with other folks, and providing the information, the context. It's definitely different depending on the group you're communicating with, for sure.
Well, obviously communication, top of mind for your skill set, but how do you identify potential leaders in organizations when you're looking to bring in that next generation of leaders? What qualities do you find being particularly important?
So I kind of lean on a couple of things. One is I'm a huge fan of leaders having a diversity of experiences. And what I mean by that, and this is a little bit controversial, but I really love when leaders have worked in consulting or client services in some way, have worked at a variety of different companies or worked with a variety of different companies. Because I think you learn so many different ways to do things, and you build up a toolkit of, there's not one dogmatic right way, right? And folks who work, 10 years at Fangs, they build up a totally different toolkit of being able to do things in an amazingly great way at scale. And it suits those companies just so well, and they're so successful because of it. They become such well-oiled machines. And then, the second thing I lean on is actually building a leadership team with the right team composition. So instead of looking for the same 1, 2, or 3 things in each of my team members, whether it's frankly like technical architecture or communication or being able to command a room as a leader and motivate, being able to operate really well and execute and deliver, being able to develop a strategy or vision, right? These are all things that as a leadership team, you need to be able to do. But I'm a big believer in trying to find the right composition where there's, a team of 3, 5, whatever your leadership team is, 8 people, where you have people who can do 1 or 2 of those things really, really well, and the rest of the folks complement.
I love that Ocean's 11 approach, right?
Yeah.
You're filling out like you're looking at where might there be a gap in the competencies that I really need to be effective, and who here exemplifies a real strength in that competency, and where can I maybe fit that person in or create a role. I think that's a really frank and wise approach, something you don't frequently hear. You see people grow that way too, where they're paired with folks who do have competencies that maybe the person doesn't have. Well, and I also loved your discussion about the diversity of perspectives. I think that's incredibly important. I mean, having an understanding of how different departments might view something is invaluable because, again, I have been in organizations where everything is so siloed that no one really understands why anyone else is doing the things they're doing.
I couldn't agree more. One of the biggest keys to launching products that people love, frankly, is working cross-functionally. Like, engineers can't deliver that, designers can't deliver that, product people can't deliver that, marketing people can't deliver that, sales folks can't deliver. You can't deliver those things in a silo. But really working as one team and making that team your first team and not your marketing team or not your engineering team is just something that I've seen be a huge unlock in the past, and it's hard to do that. Like you said, most companies easily fall into the anti-pattern of not doing that and working in those functional silos because that's how folks are organized. And I feel like I'm constantly reminding myself and my teams to, push ourselves out of those silos and like really work as one team. And like, just like you said, understand what they're doing and why and how, and really become a complete craftsperson, if possible.
It certainly heads off the problem of having almost adversarial relationships between departments, because I've seen it. It's heartbreaking because that individually they know what I'm doing is important for the mission of the organization, but I'm doing my work in spite of what these other people are doing, which seems to be an impediment to achieving the mission. And the other group's thinking the same thing at the same time. And avoiding that, I think, is absolutely important.
Yeah, and it's so hard to do consistently, right? Like I just got feedback from our head of people, a couple of months ago that I was doing that and other people were noticing. And I thought to myself, oh boy, I totally am doing that. And I haven't been, understanding and talking with the CMO enough and really building that trust and really showing that cross-functional alignment. And I got to practice what I preach. I really focused a lot of my mental energy on making sure I got better in that area in that particular time, right? And this, like you said, this really fast moving year, I'm at a new company and I got some great feedback, and it's a constant work. You can't just think you're going to coast in that area ever.
It's not like you wake up one morning and well, solve that problem. Let's move on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Solve that problem that every company faces every day.
Well, in that respect, I do have another question. How is Exos unique among the companies that you've worked for in the past? And in what ways would you say is it similar to other companies you've worked with?
Yeah, so I think one way it's unique is that our software product is really based on our members achieving their goals, becoming healthier, becoming more fit, improving their wellness, getting motivated, having a positive outlook, and this kind of real human connection between our world-class coaches and practitioners and our members. And when I was looking for a new job last year, I kind of became hooked on this whole idea of building software that really helped people in real life and helped their real lives, as opposed to just getting them to click a like button and scroll a feed over and over again. And there aren't that many companies out there that tech is enabling real positive change. I kind of became hooked on tech is not the end goal in products when I worked at Meetup. And, Exos is really squarely in that camp as well. And while there's plenty of missions that say tech does that, to find a company that truly technology is not the end game, our products really enable our coaches to motivate and help our members achieve their goals and become healthier. And it's really an enabler for that, an enabler for that human connection. That's one thing I think is unique and different, and we need to approach how we build our product that way. Again, the teams can't fall back into just building product for the product's sake. We always have to remember that it's for that human connection, and if we're not achieving that, then it doesn't matter how great the product is, frankly. And I think it's similar in the extent that we're going from 0 to 1 with some new virtual coaching products that we've been building this past year. And all the things about going from 0 to 1 and product development practices and learning quickly and talking with your customers, all those things still apply. I hired an amazing head of product that partners with me this year, and it's been really fun but also familiar to build some greenfield products here. And I felt a lot of support from the exec team, especially from the CEO and CFO. And that feels very normal, very positive, but also very much like what a healthy startup product environment should feel like.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the sort of technologies that your company is using? You touched on virtual coaches. I'd love to hear more about that.
So, like I said, we really view technology as the means to enable our world-class coaches and science-backed coaching methodology that we've developed for the past 20 plus years. But it's not, technology isn't the product, and it's not the way we help people achieve their goals. It's the way we connect those folks. For us, data is so key. So one of the first things I did when I joined was hire a head of data as well, and really build out that capability to be stronger and stronger. We have a vision to be able to integrate. We view ourselves far more like a performance and wellness OS of sorts, rather than, say, a direct competitor to maybe an Apple Fitness Plus or a Peloton. We're not in the hardware making business. We're never going to create the breadth and success of content like an Apple or a Peloton, who have way more resources to pay and produce content. But our coaches can help you find all of those things, and our software, through personalization and data algorithms, can help you come up with the best game plan and practices for you that may utilize some of the things that you're doing, like maybe Peloton or Apple or whatever, with other services and products that we know about. And so we see ourselves really integrating with best-in-class services and hardware. Definitely wearables, being able to integrate with wearables, and for our coaches to get that pretty rich and fast loop of data back really helps them be better coaches, whether it's sleep data or heart rate data or whatever it is. So we're looking at being a pretty agnostic partner, integrating with hardware products and services wherever it helps our coaches be better coaches for our members.
And this is fascinating to me because one of the other technological changes I would say that has happened over the last, decade really, is the rise of the quantifiable, where we now have all these pieces of technology that can quantify different aspects of our lives, whether it's our heart rate or oxidation rate or the quality of sleep we're getting. We really saw that take off maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. But the fact that now that is also paired with the capabilities of big data systems, where we're able to actually look for meaningful information within this just mass of data that comes in. How does that all play a part? Is this like part of the strategy is just mining that information to find the things that are most impactful and important and provide the best course to achieve the goals of your customers?
Definitely. We want our customers to be all in, right? We want them to actively want to share this data with us. We want them to see the value of it and see the value that they're getting from a coaching perspective from it. Since we're in the business of humans and improving health outcomes and human performance, we follow the gold standard of data privacy, data security. We're not selling people's data, right? That's not our business model. So we take that really seriously. But yes, we want to integrate with the data that is available and that they're generating, so that we can help our coaches scale and take away the mundane work in the coaching world, but also recommend to them things that our algorithms are seeing in the data someday. So you can imagine personalizing game plans and coaching plans for our members. But I think there is likely more value in using data to scale to a larger number of clients, but also to be able to understand insights faster and more frequently about how to better coach these folks.
Well, and you mentioned earlier about how a big transformation in tech is just the speed at which we're able to do things and the speed at which we're able to access things. And one of the big components that I see now that's unfolding, it's unrolling throughout the United States, is the rollout of 5G and how that's enabling incredible fast data throughput with very low latency. With this sort of ecosystem where you have Internet of Things devices that are collecting data. You've got the back-end systems that are able to analyze data and make that something that is actionable, whether it's with coaches or with members. How does 5G play a role in your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, it's great to think about it. We're in the human positive behavior changing business. And that's hard and relies on just like the right amount of motivation, sometimes from a human coach, sometimes from a software robot that can mimic a coach as best as possible. But the right motivation, the right nudge at the right time. And we need this product to be with our coaches and members everywhere they go, frankly, in order to do a good job with that. And in order for them to really feel like it's helping and driving that value for them. So in addition to their wearable devices, which are collecting data, we need to be there with them as well. So the more reliable, the faster these devices can collect and transmit data and be there for our customers, the better that we can be at those kind of motivational and behavior changing experiences that we can deliver to them. So frankly, like the better those pipes can be for us, the more successful we're going to be in someone's life.
And I imagine there are going to be some incredible opportunities moving forward. I mean, when you're talking about working with professional level athletes or Olympic athletes, you're talking about a level of performance that goes well beyond the company softball league here at iHeart.
Which I'm sure you back cleanup at and are really racking in the doubles.
As a lefty, everyone just comes in. They're like, all right, let's all just stroll in about 8 steps because Jonathan's not going to knock it out of the park. But like when you're talking about that level and you start to see the potential to partner with companies that are creating more precise sensors for very, very specific types of athletic activity and the ability to collect that information in real time and analyze it in real time and act on it in real time so that like if you're an Olympic athlete who discovers that they can get an edge by just doing something just a little bit different and they find out right at that moment, I can't imagine how valuable that information has to be to those people.
It absolutely is. And I've learned a lot talking with our coaches and we have neuroscientists, nutritionists, other practitioners on staff in addition to coaches and trainers and physical therapists and that sort of thing. And we have a 4-pillar methodology: mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery, and sleep is in recovery. And I've learned a lot from them about how, especially in the mindset and recovery pillars, like, athletes, their whole lives have been going hard at kind of the movement, the fitness, the nutrition. There's a lot out there. But our more integrated approach, especially with mindset and recovery, really helps them with that last 20%, so to speak. That's hard for them to get in the context of their movement and their nutrition also. So being able to give those athletes that 20% edge with a more integrated approach is just so helpful for them. We've just seen it in the results and the outcomes and why those elite athletes keep coming back to us year over year.
I couldn't let Yvette go without asking her one more thing. And what is a challenge you think every organization faces?
I'm sure some orgs nail this, but at every company, at least I've been at, I've learned the hard lesson of how hard it is to really build a culture around optimizing for outcomes. So optimizing for real measurable business results and giving teams clear direction on those and letting them run and problem solve versus optimizing for outputs and optimizing for X feature delivered on Y date. If you optimize for outcomes, you're empowering your teams to figure out the features and the dates, but really, as a leadership team, really what you're optimizing for are the business results that you and your board know you need to be successful versus if you're optimizing for deliverables, you actually never know if you're going to hit those results. So that's been something that I've just like constantly learned over and over again and think a lot of folks face that.
Yeah, I think optimizing for outcomes sounds like let engineers be engineers. They're the problem solvers. Let them solve the problems.
Yeah, let the teams be problem-solving teams. Exactly, especially those cross-functional teams. Engineers can't do it on their own. Really empowering those cross-functional teams is, to me, like the sweet spot of a leader. If you can figure out how to do that well, and hire great people, you're going to get really good outcomes and business results.
Yvette, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. This was super fun, Jonathan, and I really appreciate it. It was great to connect with you about, the timing of our love for tech in those early days. Super cool. Thank you.
I truly enjoyed my conversation with Yvette. Apart from bonding over the sometimes tedious experience of building out a website in HTML, I loved her views about acknowledging failure and learning from it, and not being afraid to make mistakes as long as you are responsible in how you handle them. I am eager to see how the future of tech can enable us to become our best selves. I think companies like Exos and leaders like Yvette will be a big part of that. Thank you for listening to The Restless Ones. Be sure to tune in to future episodes where I'll have more conversations with leaders in tech who are shaping the future of how technology and business intertwine. I'm Jonathan Strickland.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently, so you can focus on what matters most. That's why we've become the leader in 5G, #1 in customer satisfaction, and a partner who includes 5G in every plan, so you get it all. Unconventional thinking is better for business. Open Signal awards T-Mobile as America's fastest 5G network USA. 5G user experience report July 2021. Capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com. For JD Power 2020 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.